Hello everyone, and welcome once again to yet another session in the series of talks about self-improvement and becoming the best version of yourself, achieving greater heights and setting higher targets. So today's session is about goal setting essentially. And besides the regular steps that I'm going to mention to you, I'm going to talk to you about the BHAG today. And how that can drive you and how that can accelerate your progress. So I'll be taking you through this session with some specific inputs, and if you like, you can actually take down the steps that I'm going to mention to you. So to begin with, I would like to quote Roosevelt saying that the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. You see, what is a goal really? Goal is actually just a dream with a deadline. So before we even begin to talk about goal setting and how to go about it, allow yourself, take the freedom of dreaming, and dream as if nothing is a limitation really. And once you have started dreaming about things, making those big plans in your head, you will work your way backward and develop plans and processes and system as to how. But the most important thing is to believe in the beauty of your dreams, and they have to be your dreams. Now, as we talk about the goals, I would like to point out that these could be goals which are personal, professional, or even organizational. So some of you might be heading some team, some organization, or within any setup, you have some personal goals. So you can apply all of these aspects in any goal that is important to you. Now, what is a goal anyway? As per the dictionary, a goal is the end towards which effort is directed. So that means it's an end. That means it's like a target. Unless you don't set a target, you would not know in which direction you have to make the efforts. Then goals are dreams and wants, except a goal is more specific. So it doesn't help to have a general statement that I want more of this, or I want to be able to do this better, etc. When we talk about goals, they have to be specific. That is a very important thing. Also, one more thing I want to point out, and that's why I would urge you to actually write down things as I talk about this, is that a goal not written is a goal not achieved. There is a magic in writing. Somehow when you write down your goals, your brain starts focusing on that. So as we talk about goals, please do try and write down things, and maybe whatever comes to your mind immediately as your goal, you can keep improvising, you can keep changing maybe, but to begin with, this exercise would be very helpful. So the purpose of a goal really is to give you something that you want to enhance your life in some way. So the most important thing you need to know about goals is that you should have some. Right? So as you set goals, you're on your path of enhancing your life. Those could be in any direction really. Now there are different types of goals. There could be the long-term goals, which could be 10 years or 5 years, or even 1 year goals are long-term goals. There could be short-term goals, which actually come down to maybe 9 months, 6 months, or 3 months, etc. Those are your mid-term goals. And then there could be immediate goals. Those would of course be 1 to 30 days from now. Now all of this goes hand in hand. What is advisable is that we set up a long-term goal towards which we are going to work consistently. However, we will work our way backwards from there. In order to be able to achieve that long-term goal, you would have to set some mid-term goals and also some immediate goals. So I'm going to talk about various concepts that will help you break down your big goal into things that you can actually do on a daily basis that would move you towards your ultimate long-term goal. Now, there are 3 very important aspects of goal setting. Firstly, is that you must own the goal. What does that mean? It means that the goal has to be yours. So do not take too many inputs. Maybe it's good to discuss, take advice, maybe some clarity on things, on some processes. But till when you don't own the goal, when it is not emanating from your heart, till when it's not emanating from your core values and what your conscience appeals to, then you're not owning it. So if you're chasing a goal, you think, which people expect you to be, so that is not really owning a goal, and the chances of you achieving that, they diminish quite a bit. So make sure that whatever targets, goals that you have in front of you, you own them, that they are your own goals that are emerging from your core values, from your conscience, from your deep desires and wants. Secondly is that you must control the goals. Now, what would one mean by controlling? If it were so easy to control, wouldn't we be just achieving all the goals? Well, controlling the goal means that once you have that aspiration, the goal that you have set, you actually go about designing methods and processes. You actually lay down the steps that will take you closer to your goal, one step at a time. So that is what is known as controlling your goals. It's not just talking that, oh, I wish I could do this. Well, what's your plan? What's your plan of action? That is what is controlling. The third very important aspect about goal setting is the time frame. So what did I say in the beginning? That goal is nothing but a dream with a deadline. Now it's very important to have a time frame, because it's if you're an athlete, you're trying to improve your performance. What would you do? You would time yourself. You would see, okay, this time, when I ran this time, what was my timing, how many minutes, how many seconds, etc. So it gives you a benchmark, a parameter, and when that time arrives, you can check yourself that, okay, I had set this time frame. Now, have I achieved my goal or not? Do I need more time or not? If I had set out with 5 goals, have I achieved all 5, 4, 3, whatever? So having a time frame is extremely important where your goal setting is concerned. Well, that brings us actually to the concept. You'll have to take all of these 3 aspects whenever you talk about goals, of course. Own it, control it, time it. Now that brings us to the concept of SMART goals. Many of you would have maybe heard about it, would have maybe even tried practicing it. Now that's a very well-known, very popular concept. Now SMART is actually S-M-A-R-T, which stands for specific, measurable, attainable, and rewarding or realistic, also timely. So what would specific mean? Like I've been speaking right from the beginning, your goals have to be specific. You cannot just go about saying, I'm going to read more. Well, how about specifying it? That how much are you going to read? What are you going to read? You have to be specific. Or I'm going to be a better reader, let's say. What exactly, what genre are you going to read? Be more specific about it. Then measurable is again very closely related to specific. You put a measure to it. So let's say if you want to increase the profits of the organization, maybe you would set up a target which is measurable, as in we would enroll or maybe we would get 50 new customers every month. Now that is measurable. You put a number to it. Attainable is something which is just about difficult but achievable. So that does not mean you set easy targets which are going to be fulfilled anyways. Attainable would be which is a little beyond the zone, but still you can achieve those. Realistic or rewarding. So these should be goals that are going to be realistic in the sense that you have weighed all the pros and cons. You have a plan in action. It's not like you sit today and say, I'm going to be an astronaut and make a plan of action. Maybe well, maybe in some cases it could work out, but it's not, for me it wouldn't be a realistic goal. And rewarding, again, R also stands for rewarding. So your actions, your milestones, the measures that you're putting up, they should convert into rewards. So if you're talking about increasing the sales, that many customers, 50 customers, that would convert to how much of profit, that reward is right there. You can see it. That is what a rewarding or a realistic goal would be. Lastly is the timeliness of the goal setting. Again, a time frame, like we spoke before, is very important. So you can have a long-term goal, maybe a 5-year, 10-year goal, break it down to 2 months and 6 months, 2 months, and maybe then 1 month per day. So to achieve that big target every day, what is your time frame? So that is what a SMART goal is all about. So if you're thinking right now that you're not at the optimum level of your performance, it could be about anything. It could be about your fitness. It could be about the promotion that you want to have, or maybe you want to make a trip abroad, etc. It could be any goal. So get specific. Where do you want to travel, if it's that trip that I'm talking about, and put the measures and put all of those things, attainable, rewarding, timely. Write it down as a paragraph, that I would be in such and such place by such and such time. For that I need this much of money, and that is how you would go about creating a SMART goal. Now, as I talk about goals, I want you to pay attention to a concept, which is lead versus lag. When we start aiming at something, most often all of us actually focus on parameters which are actually lag measures. What does lag mean? Something that trails, which does not really contribute, it is rather slow, it doesn't yield results. That is a lag measure. So, contrary to lag measure, what is advisable is that we focus on lead measures. What are lead measures? That would lead to the results, which are direct, actionable things or parameters. So let's say a lag measure, an example that I can give you is if somebody says to improve sales to X amount by some time, or to increase profit from X to Y by some time. These are lag measures. There is no actionable input over here, you see. It just says increase the sales or increase the profit. On the other hand, a lead measure would say to increase number of subscribers from X to Y in the coming month or the coming 2 months. Now this is a very actionable plan, because you're saying not only increase sales, how? By increasing the subscribers. Or it could be about maybe your fitness. It could be to hit the gym once a day between 5 to 6 p.m. Now that's an actionable input. So as you begin to set your goals, be very sure that you're not mentioning the lag measures, that your focus is not on the lag measures but the lead measures. That means those actionable things that you can start doing right now and move closer to your goals, and it's not just some vague talk. That vague talk would be the lag measure. Now, as you prepare to become the best version of yourself, optimize your performance, get that promotion, go to that, take that world tour, or get your fittest best, I'd like to point out one thing, that to have more, you have to be more. So, as you set your goals, you will have to work on yourself, because you are the resource that you're going to use to achieve those goals. So go about maybe reading a lot, how to improve yourself, and it's all in your daily routine. People who have achieved great targets, it's about it because they have great discipline. There are things that people do every day. I would highly recommend to you even the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, which mentions the 7 habits about being, the first one being proactive, the second one begin with the end in your mind. That means have the bigger picture first and work your way backwards. Put first things first, that means prioritizing, managing your time well. Think win-win, seek first to understand, that means good relations. All of those things, and my favorite one is to sharpen your axe, really. So go about, read, make yourself a fertile ground for achieving those goals. Now, as I have been talking about goals, I have said own it, control it, time it. I spoke about the SMART goals, how you should be specific, etc. I spoke about the lag and lead measures. So I hope by now you understand that when you start thinking of what you want to do, how you want to do, I hope by now you understand that your focus, where your focus has to be, and what language you should be talking about in your head to yourself, and also while writing down. Now, at this point, I want to urge you to think big. And that is why I'm going to talk about the BHAG. Now, when we talk about goal setting, BHAG is the big, hairy, audacious goal. That is the BHAG. Big, hairy, audacious goal. That means it be that goal which is really big. It's almost like a gorilla, you know, and it's a little scary, but it is also achievable. Now, what is the importance, and why do we have this topic today as how to accelerate your progress using BHAG? Because these are things that are a little beyond your comfort zone, and like I like to say that convenience or the comfort zone is the death of opportunity or the death of great success. So BHAG urges you, pushes you to perform beyond your comfort zone. So when we talk about BHAG, it can be used as your vision statement also. It can be used as a personal vision statement, as an organizational vision statement. You can have a strategy to that. Now, over here, there's a fantastic quote that I can tell you about Sir Edmund Hillary, he being the first person to conquer the Mount Everest. As per him, people do not decide to become extraordinary. They decide to accomplish extraordinary things. So do you understand what that means? We aim at extraordinary things. Now, before Sir Edmund Hillary conquered the Everest, it was a task unachievable. Nobody had thought it could be done. So many people had lost their lives. But he went on with a single-minded focus. He went beyond the comfort zone. He had a BHAG. Now, how to set a big, hairy, audacious goal for yourself? So, you know, it could be business goals, it could be personal goals. It's almost like climbing a mountain. It's almost just like Sir Edmund Hillary. Now, if you want to get to the top of a mountain, you need to plan and marshal your resources. So let's say you have this big plan of increasing your salary or increasing your income by 100%. Let's say that's within a time frame of let's say 2 years or 1 year. It's up to you what appeals to you. It's a little scary thought, but maybe it's doable. And why would it be doable? Because you would have a strategy to it. It's like climbing a mountain. You just cannot run to the top. You'll have a plan and you'll have to work it out accordingly. So you need to develop skills and habits. Practice the basics of climbing diligently towards the BHAG that you have set. The thing that separates great mountain climbers from average mountain climbers and great companies from merely good companies are the mountains they choose to climb. Why do we remember Sir Edmund Hillary? Because he chose to climb the Mount Everest. So I would urge you, push you to choose your Mount Everest. Choose that BHAG, that big, hairy, audacious goal, and that's what would make you extraordinary in the life that you're leading. Now, when you're setting your BHAG, there are 3 important questions that you need to ask of yourself. You would begin by asking, what is it that you can be best at? So it's about your life, it's about your profession, and if you have this amazing goal, think about it, what you can be the best at, or what your organization can be best at. What do you want your organization to be known for, or what would you want yourself to be known for? Second question to be asked is, what are you passionate about? Because when you indulge in activities that you're passionate about, that is when the supernatural powers are by your side. You perform very well. So align yourself with those energy. Do not take somebody else's goal. It's about you. So it's about your passion. Third very important question that you need to ask for BHAG is, what will drive you towards your goal? That means, let's say if it's an organization, maybe you can ask a question, what will drive your economic engine? If it's a personal goal, you can ask, so what will make me achieve that big goal? That means here you are strategizing now. You have dreamed without limitations, you have set up a big goal, but now you're coming back to actually the plan of action. So these three questions are extremely important where your BHAG is concerned. There are some other aspects that you can actually start looking into. Let me just read out some questions that you can start rolling in your head as you are wanting to set up your BHAG, your big goals. So how about asking yourself, how important is the goal to you? So if you were to achieve it or not achieve it, what difference would it make in your life? How beneficial would its substantial achievement be to your sphere of influence? So that if you achieve that goal, how will it affect your immediate environment and the things that directly affect you? How beneficial would its substantial achievement be to the larger society? So now you're expanding your horizon and you're saying, okay, this goal, how does it affect not my immediate environment only, but also the larger society? Does it benefit the organization or the society or the country? You start thinking about the larger picture. How pleasurable versus painful would the process of tackling the goal be? So you start contemplating and you start questioning your comfort zones. Do you want to stick to your comfort zone, be comfortable, or are you willing to go through the pain and the discomfort and achieve those extraordinary milestones? How likely are you to achieve the goal, at least in substantial measure? Now this is about being realistic, right? But also you will assess that and up your efforts. You will increase your efforts. Now, if you fail, how big a price would you pay? For example, are you likely to lose your job? And how bad would that be for you? So, these questions you're going to ask because you want to weigh all the pros and cons, but then still surpass them. Maybe you can ask that, what's the worst outcome that realistically could occur? How big a price would you pay for that? Now this is again about being courageous to follow that big goal that you're setting. There are going to be repercussions. If you achieve your goal, great. If you achieve your goal completely, fantastic. Maybe you'll achieve it halfway. That's okay. But if you don't, what is the price? So you have to be mentally prepared for that. You got to have a plan of action for that. Now, we spoke about the BHAG and I spoke to you about certain questions that you can ask yourself as to how to go about it, what matters to you, what are you passionate about, how it impacts your life, environment, and the bigger society. For example, let me pick up this example of, let's say, Starbucks. I'm sure all of us are familiar with Starbucks. So, Starbucks this story is very well known about Starbucks, that they had set their BHAG. And they had gone to Jim Collins, who is the pioneer in the BHAG and goal setting, etc. And they said that, okay, we got a BHAG ready. And they said that we have decided that we want to have 20,000 stores all over the world by the year 2000. And Jim Collins actually pointed out to him that to them that that's not really your BHAG, because you're not really passionate about, you don't want to be known for that. You will not be known for, oh, Starbucks has so many outlets. What do you want to be known for? And that's when Jim Collins told them that go back to Seattle, spend some time over a cup of coffee. Why to Seattle? Because the best coffee comes from Seattle. That is what Seattle is known for. Go back, spend some time. And that's when the goals were realigned. and they came up with the new BHAG, that they want to be the #1 brand in the entire world where coffee etc. is concerned, and they were comparing themselves to Coke for that matter. So it's a good example of fit with company strategy, purpose and values. So the Starbucks BHAG is about world-class brand building at the heart of their strategy and values, not number of stores or revenue targets. And it will take the company performing at their best for 20 years to reach. So when we say 20 years, of course, Starbucks has come a long way from that when the story all began. That's a long-term target, but that it was broken down to mid-term targets and the immediate targets, etc. So by now I have been able to give you some inputs about what your thought process should be, what orientation should be, what kind of language you should be speaking, how you can plan your goals, put a deadline, timeline, break down your long-term goals into mid-term, immediate term, etc. So at this point, I would want you to pause and think about what is that BHAG you want to have. And do not be deterred by what other people are going to think, whether it's possible. Don't just be deterred by any of that. Have the audacity to dream big. And when you begin with the end in mind, you will find your way backwards. So have that big, hairy, audacious goal, and then let's work our way backwards and create a plan of action. And if I may just add on a personal note, really, why I am so convinced about the BHAG, because I have personally implemented that in my life. And I had this big, audacious goal, which to anybody who would hear would say, what, this is not possible, how can you even think about it? But I actually dared to dream that big goal, and I worked my way backward, and I had a plan of action that what I would do every day, every week, every month, every year, and hence I have actually achieved that big goal. So I'm 100% convinced about this approach, and I would urge you today to dream big. Make audacity your favorite word, so that when you speak about your goals, let people say, you have the audacity to think that you can do that, and your answer should be, yes, I have the audacity to think that I can do that. So thank you so much for being with me today. I hope this session has been useful for you. See you soon.